Pearson Rabbit's story begins with Dr. Stephanie Pearson, a passionate OBGYN at the height of her career. When a shoulder injury struck during a precipitous delivery, her dreams were shattered, leaving her unable to practice medicine. Determined to make a difference, Stephanie became an advocate for her peers, guiding them through the complex disability process. Alongside insurance expert Scott Ravitz, Stephanie founded Pearson Ravitz, a company determined to approach insurance differently. Together, they set their mission to educate and empower physicians to protect their most valuable asset, their income, and the most important people in their life, their family. Today, Pearson Ravitz serves the medical community in all 50 states. At Pearson Ravitz, they understand the unique concerns of physicians. Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Ravitz builds human connections before they create quotes. Life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness or injury could leave you and your family in a devastating financial situation. But with a little planning and guidance, you can prepare for every possibility. Visit PearsonRavitz.com today to schedule your consultation with a Pearson Ravitz advisor.
Finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
And we're back. Welcome to another Hump Day Truth Bomb episode with BS Free MD, your hosts, May Hindmarsh and my co-host, Tim Hindmarsh, who happened to win the 2008 Governor's Award for the state of Oregon for contribution to physical fitness. And now you know. And
Yes.
as our son wanted to know, Dad,
Are
does
you
that
the
mean you're the most
fittest person
fit person in Oregon?
I don't think I was the fittest person in the house. Probably was.
It was a
Realistically,
tie.
I was.
Probably a tie. Anyway, today, by the way, happens to be National Paper Bag Day, just in case you were wondering.
So all of you with ugly wives are in luck because you can get those paper bags out.
Oh, there's a bunch of other, I don't know why I get so fascinated with the day
National
of the week,
Paper Bag Day.
but apparently July 12th, 2023 is National Paper Bag Day, among other things. But I'll let you look those up for your entertainment pleasure. But for this week, we are here talking about a health topic in our Truth Bomb. I would say hydration or heat. What is more deadly?
Yeah, so this is absolutely 100%, no questions asked, hands down, my biggest pet peeve in all of pop medicine, the shit you hear out there that people talk about. This whole business of, you gotta drink an extra gallon a day, and if you're hiking and it's at altitude, you're gonna dehydrate. When you're hot, you're dehydrating. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
People walking around all day long saying they're dehydrated.
Yeah, it's completely stupid. It's like this. Okay, so let's say something happens, right? And you fast and you don't eat. What's the first thing that happens as you start to starve? As you start to enter a starvation state? What is the first thing that you experience? I don't know. Maybe you get hungry. Really hungry. Okay, so you can go without food, as Bobby Sands, the protester back in the 1980, went for 60 days as a normal-sized person without any food. So you can go 60 days quite reasonably without eating. You can go 3 days without drinking. So you got 3 days. What do you think's 3 days versus 60 days? If you're starting to get dehydrated, what do you think's going to happen to you? If you only have 3 days before you're going to die or be like near death, maybe the first thing that happens to you when you start to get dehydrated isn't that you get mentally slow. It isn't that you get kind of uncomfortable or get a headache. No, you get thirsty. Because human beings have unbelievably highly adapted, intense thirst mechanisms. That's what has allowed us to live in the Arctic Circle, in jungles of Africa, and in deserts, because you get really thirsty.
Now you can get really thirsty for other reasons. Such
you can
as
get real
high blood
like
sugar.
Pizza. Pizza can make you really thirsty.
Right. Or if you're hyperglycemic, that causes excess.
Yeah, but it
thirst.
also causes unbelievable diuresis, and you pee it all out, so you're thirsty because you have low blood volume.
But so, you're right. You're right.
So this whole idea.
If you're out there running a 3-mile race and you start to collapse at the finish line in the heat, as we've seen, and man, I would get so mad. It would always be the first weekend, it seems, after kids go back to school, when we'd have a heat wave hit, and then the cross country team's out there competing, and it's 105 degrees in the shade, and the kids are running a 3-mile race.
A 3-mile race.
And it's
you're going to sweat
at 4:00 in the afternoon, and it's Oregon, so it's humid, and they're getting near the finish line, and they're a quarter of the mile from the end, and kids are literally collapsing, and people were running over saying they're dehydrated, they need to drink, they're dehydrated. And I'd be like, get the ice.
Yes, get the ice.
Overheated.
So we're going to move on to that right away. But if just think of this practicality. If human beings
can't make it 3 miles.
If human beings can't go 3 miles in 95 degrees heat because they're going to collapse, then there's no humans, because we would have all been freaking dead.
Oh, especially in the Sahara Desert.
Well, yeah, but just read the Bible. Jesus did 40 days of fasting in the wilderness. It wasn't the woods, kid. There was no Yogi Bear. It was the desert.
So where do you think this whole thought process of dehydration comes from?
Honestly, I have no idea where it comes from. I know it's just completely stupid, though. Like this idea that somehow we're 2 glasses of water away from like catastrophic dehydration is just completely insane.
Now, in general, before you move on to the heat part, most people could stand to consume more water on a regular basis.
It doesn't mean that you're okay, look, there's a difference between dehydration, which is a medical diagnosis, and not being optimally hydrated.
Correct.
Okay. But the fact is, probably the best advice, and this goes against a lot of our integrative medicine gurus, is drink when you're thirsty. Okay. The problem with
I like to monitor my urine output and the color of it.
Yes. So the problem with most of this hydration nonsense is that people are drinking things other than water. That's the issue. You're drinking soda pop and you're drinking, bourbon, but that does not count.
Fluids and food have water in them. Yes.
Right. So,
if you're constipated all the time, that's a good sign that you're
right.
You
people are drinking 25-ounce energy drinks, blah, blah, blah. The issue is drink more water, but don't drink like an extra gallon, because yes, you can push your hydration. Yes, your skin will look a little bit better. You might feel better, but you'll pee like crazy. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal.
So what's happening out there in the field when these kids are collapsing?
Okay, it's heat exhaustion, which will kill you.
Raisening up. Yes.
Okay, heat exhaustion will kill you so unbelievably fast, it's not funny. It is super dangerous, and it's completely underreported, and we don't talk about it. We put these football player kids that are 300-pound linemen through 2-a-days in the Alabama heat in August in full football gear, and they collapse, and then some dumbass thinks he's dehydrated. No, he's frying his brain, and he's going to die unless you cool him off. It's really, really simple. They should have air-conditioned trucks with ice baths and fans at those football facilities, and when a kid keels over, you shove a rectal thermometer up his ass, and you look at it and you go, oh my God, his temperature is 105. You put him in the ice bath and you turn the fan on and you save his life.
You could probably do all of that without the rectal thermometer, and it would.
Well, the rectal thermometer is honestly better from a medical perspective. I could make a bunch of like June gay jokes, but I won't.
I don't know how well that
I'll spare you
over as far as.
Well, if you're going to save my kid's life
versus not, but
because he collapsed from heat exhaustion, yes, please do that. So here's a nice little tidbit story. So we went to the greatest medical convention we have ever been to, conference we've ever been to, and it was the Ironman conference in 1998 in Hawaii during the Ironman triathlon, like just before the triathlon. And Timothy Noakes, who's probably the greatest exercise physiologist in the history of mankind. He is a physician. He's a clinician as well.
I have a new favorite.
Yeah, you do. But the guy at that time had done, unbelievable studies on endurance athletes, on runners, on triathletes, muscle biopsies, the whole deal. It was really, really fascinating. But he was a clinician, so he actually understood how to save people's lives. And it was fascinating. And this will blow your mind. He said, if you're working in the medical tent and somebody collapses, okay, so this is an Ironman in about 85-degree temperatures where they actually run in lava fields, pavement over lava fields so that it gets hot. And he said, if they collapse, the one question you ask is, did they collapse before the finish line or after the finish line? And he said, if they collapsed after the finish line, that's usually just hypotension because they have lost fluid. They've exercised for a long time. Their legs are very vasodilated. They've dropped their blood pressure. You lay them down, you take blood pressures, you put their feet up. It's fine. If they collapse before the finish line, then it gets crazy. He said, you need to do two things. You need to draw blood to look at their electrolytes, number one. And number two, number one is you put a rectal thermometer in and get their temperature, because if they are significantly overheated, you can save their life very quickly. If not, they will die quickly from heat. And number two, you get a set of electrolytes. Why? Because there's only 1,500 people in the Ironman in Hawaii, but every year there's at least 2 people that drink so much frickin' free water. In other words, just water with no salt in it, that they wash out their sodium and become critically hyponatremic. In other words, their sodium level is so low that without proper sodium rehydration, they die.
Drinking too much can kill you. Drinking
too much water while exercising for 17 hours in the Hawaiian sun, you can still overhydrate yourself. That's the fact. And part of it is they're sweating out salt and water, and they're replacing it with salt-free water. Tim goes on to say, you could do the double marathon, so 52 miles of running in South Africa, where it's hot as hell. And as long as you had a salt lick, you would not need a drop of water. You would feel like dog crap. You would be clinically dehydrated. You would have a headache. You'd be hungover as hell, but you would be able to finish the race with 0 water as long as you had salt.
So I would think that we could wrap this up by saying, when your kids are out there this summer exercising and it comes to daily doubles practice, they're in all that football gear, it's still hot. Think
heat. Don't think water.
Think, how do I cool this kid down?
How do you cool them down?
Spray their heads with water.
Ice packs in their groin. Ice packs in their armpit.
On their head.
Ice packs on their head with water on their head and a fan.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You can save someone's life. They killed a guy at the Oakland Marathon several years ago because he collapsed, and they're like, oh, he's super fit. They stuff an IV in him. They start giving him a bunch of fluids, and no one took his temperature. By the time he was at the hospital, his temperature was 106 and he died. And that's just because he exercised in heat. Heat will kill you way quicker, way more severe than losing fluid. You lose fluid in exercise. You just don't exercise anymore. Your performance goes down. You feel like crap, but you don't die. Heat will kill you. Dehydration makes you feel like dog shit. They're two totally different things. Dehydration that kills you is because you have, secretory diarrhea like cholera, or an infant with diarrhea where they just lose tons of water. That's dehydration that kills you, or blood loss, which is kind of obvious because there's red stuff on the ground. Heat is the enemy. This is such a big deal. This could save someone's life if you understand that heat is the real problem, especially where we have all these people in the Northwest that aren't heat adapted. And then it gets hot as hell here and they keep doing what they normally do.
Giving someone a little bit of cold fluid to drink is also okay because it does but you really need to cool them.
No, and the way humans cool themselves is with their skin. You got to get their skin wet, their skin cold, and a fan. They will hate you for it, but you'll save their life.
So stay cool this summer, my friends.
Stay cool and stay salty. Till next week, bombs away.
Now, a final word from our sponsor. At Pearson Ravitz, they understand that life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness, injury, or catastrophic event could put you and your family in a devastating financial situation. Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Ravitz builds human connections before they create quotes. Visit www.pearsonravitz.com today and embark on a journey of safeguarding your future.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit, uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.